Spotify has something called the skip rate. So if you are listening to a song and you just go, I'm fed up with this, next, then that counts against the song in the algorithm.
You had met Lady Gaga and you asked her how long a pop song should be. How does she take it?
She fixed me with this steely gaze.
Hey, it's Hannah here. Welcome back to What in the World from the BBC World Service. Quick question for you. How long do you think a pop song should be? For years, they've been getting shorter. Some are just 2 or 3 minutes long. And a lot of people say that's because of the TikTok effect, because you just need one catchy hook to go viral. But now, song times are beginning to creep back up. Some are even 7 or 9 minutes long. So what is going on here? And are longer songs just as popular as short ones? Well, I'm here with the best person in the business to talk about it, the BBC music correspondent Mark Savage. Hi, welcome.
Hello, Hannah. How are you doing?
Very well. So I read that you had met Lady Gaga and you put that very same question to her. You asked her how long a pop song should be. How does she take it?
She fixed me with this steely gaze. And it was a kind of withering look as she said, the perfect length for a pop song is however long the artist wants it to be. Which is a very Lady Gaga answer.
Yeah.
I was delighted.
Yeah.
Nothing better than getting a reaction like that from a pop star when you're doing an interview. And, she's right. It should be up to the artist how long a song is. But that's not the story of the music industry over the last 10 years. Technology always drives change in music. Going right back to the days of people listening on cassette and 7-inch singles. On vinyl, the longest a song could be was 3 minutes because that was how much space you had before it compromised the sound quality. And then more recently, with streaming, there's been a pressure to make songs shorter because Spotify has something called the skip rate. So if you are listening to a song and you just go, I'm fed up with this, next, then that counts against the song in the algorithm. And so it gets recommended to fewer people and the number of streams that a song gets goes down. And that means you, the artist or the writer, gets less money. So there's an imperative to make the song short so that people stick around right to the end and get a boost.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that when I skipped ahead, I was actually having a negative effect on a song's algorithm. So apart from people skipping through songs and artists really wanting listeners to get to the end of their tracks, why else have songs been getting shorter?
So I think TikTok has a lot to answer for here. You know that your attention span when you're flicking through the For You feed in your apps is very, very short. If something doesn't grab your attention in the first 3 seconds, you just swipe up. And that has really driven songs to become instantly catchy. You don't have 20 seconds to set the scene and do a nice long introduction. The hook has got to come first. And actually, one of the things that we've seen is that people have moved the chorus of their song right to the front. It used to be you would have an intro and then a verse and then maybe a bridge and the chorus would be the culmination, something you build up to. Now you're just straight in there because you've got to get people's attention straight away. And when the chorus comes first, well, then you can kind of dispense with some of the other bits as well. And so we've seen songs shrink. In the 1990s, the average length of a hit song in the UK was above 4 minutes. In 2019, the year that TikTok achieved mainstream popularity, it dropped to 3 minutes and 12 seconds, which is the lowest it has ever been. Now we're seeing a bit of a change, a bit of a pushback against that, but songs are still, even now, a minute shorter than they were 30 years ago.
And how short are some of the shortest ones, the big ones?
The big ones. So Pink Pantheress is probably the poster child for short songs. All of her songs are basically 2 minutes long. She has one called Attracted to You that's just 67 seconds, but it's got 500 million streams on Spotify. Lil Nas X, Old Town Road, that was 1 minute and 58 seconds. Songs really have been compressed. And sometimes that's good, Sometimes it's hard to write an extra verse and make it as good as the first one. And it's hard to write a middle eight or to take a song somewhere else. Some songs work better in that format. But I think also if you're an artist who has something to say, if you've got a message in your song, if you've got something really deep and personal that you want to convey, then you need that extra space to let the words breathe, to let people feel what you're going through.
So you need to give it that breathing room. It's really interesting that TikTok has just changed the way that people structure songs as well as the length of songs. And I was reading it was changing the way that artists write them as well, because sometimes they were just writing the hooks, testing them out on socials, and then seeing if it hits. And if it does, then writing the rest of the song.
So Lil Nas X and Pink Pantheress, the two artists that I mentioned, I mean, that's basically their business model. They use TikTok as a kind of echo chamber. You know, if a song picks up enough likes, then they'll finish it. But if the idea that they post just kind of withers and dies, well, there's no point in pursuing it because people might not be interested. And that's a really interesting thing. It's focus grouping, right?
Right.
And that's never happened before in the music industry. You know, you would have used to go into a studio for a month, work as hard as you can to perfect the song, to make it sound right, and then it goes out into the world and you just wait to see what happens. But now you can get instant feedback as you're writing. And in some cases, I guess that's great, but I suppose it also makes you subject to writing by committee, doing what people want to hear rather than what means something to you. So it's a tricky balance for artists to pull off.
Do you think overall that shorter songs are making artists more money?
This is the thing. So if we go back to the Spotify model, if you have a 9-minute song and somebody plays it once, you will get roughly a third of 1 cent in Spotify royalties. Now, if you've got a song that's a minute and a half long and people listen to that for 9 minutes, well, that counts as 6 plays and you will get 6 times 0.3 of a cent. So it makes more business sense to write a shorter song because you get paid more frequently, because all that counts is the number of times that a song has been played.
I'm going to pause you here because we're going to hear about what some artists make of the effect TikTok is having.
I have noticed a slight change in the way that I make music for the platform. Sometimes I'll make songs with tens of layers that go on for a full length of what a song should be, like around 3 minutes. I'll only share about 12 seconds of that because I know that people's attention span is so short. I will admit that TikTok has helped me find a much larger audience than I could ever imagine or probably whip up myself. I do think there are a lot of downsides though to making music on TikTok, namely when it comes to your own mental health. I have had several moments where all of my music is trending and I'm gaining a lot of views, and then months in between where you're in a valley and whatever you're doing, even if you think it's some of the best work you've made, is just not catching eyeballs. And I think those waves of extreme highs and extreme lows can really, really be detrimental to your mental health. So you really have to know, one, that you love what you're doing and you do it regardless if anyone was watching, and two, know when to take breaks for your own mental health.
I personally don't think it's changed the way I've created music, because since the beginning I've always wanted to make it experimental and enjoyable to do, and I feel like that childlike curiosity has not died. However, I will say, because TikTok in 2020 and TikTok in 2022 isn't the same as it is in 2025, and I think the real challenge comes down to finding ways to make it as engaging and as captivating as possible without losing yourself. So maybe the way I promote it or market it has changed, but I don't think the way I've created music has fundamentally changed, in my opinion.
So, Mark, you said that songs are now starting to get a bit longer and that we're beginning to see very early stages of that trend reversing. Why do you think that is?
Well, the analysis that we've done, we looked back at the 40 biggest selling songs in the UK every year for the last 25 years. And as I said before, that low point for the average song duration was 3 minutes and 12 seconds. That's in 2019 and 2020. This year, in the first 6 months of 2025, that's gone back up to 3 minutes 24. So a 12-second increase. That sounds quite small, but actually what's dragging the average up is a lot of really big popular songs like Chapel Roan's Pink Pony Club.
I love that.
That's almost 5 minutes long. It's 4 minutes 44. Sam Fender's People Watching, that's 5 minutes and 8 seconds. We've just had another Chapel Roan song top the charts, which is The Subway. That's 4 minutes 12. And Lola Young's Messy, another number one song.
That was a TikTok viral
hit. A huge TikTok viral hit.
Huge.
But again, over 4 minutes. And what all those songs have in common is that they have a message. Like Lola Young's Messy is talking about her mental health, about being messed around by a toxic partner, really deep, intimate stuff that you can't just convey in a couple of sentences. Chapel Roan is the same. Pink Pony Club is a song about a closeted girl in the suburbs who moves to the big city, finds her people, comes out. It's a song that a huge number of people have related to. I've seen people in tears when she plays that song in concert.
Parental relationship with that whole process as well.
Exactly, yes. So there's a lot to unpack there. And I think the artists that are pushing back on these short songs are the artists that really, really want to say something specific and meaningful with their music. And that appears to be the trend. If you're a writer and you're being told by a record company or by a streaming algorithm to do something, your instinct should be to kick against it. There's no point in doing what everybody else is doing, because then how do you stand out? And Youngblood, the British artist, he released a new single this year, the first single of his third album. It's called Hello Heaven Hello, and it is 9 minutes long. And he said to me, everything had become so compressed and so digitized that I just thought, I can't do that. You need to swim against the tide. And that song, it's incredible. I mean, it's almost a song suite. It's like 5 songs compressed into one. It's hugely ambitious. And you can't really have ambition in a 2-minute song because it's there and it's gone.
Yeah. Your research mainly focused on UK songs, but this trend that you've described, more meaningful, deeper songs and artists themselves wanting the song lengths to go up, is that something that's happening in global music as well?
You do see a lot of particularly Afrobeats artists recently, Ira Starr, Thames, Tyler, Wizkid. They are all kind of in the lower range of song durations. They're kind of above 3 minutes, but never quite reaching 4 for the majority of their songs. K-pop is brutally short. And for a machine-like music industry like South Korea has, the efficiency with which they turn out the hits is huge, and they are constantly thinking about streaming algorithms and everything else. So K-pop songs tend to be very, very short. The new Blackpink song Jump, which is one of the biggest songs of the summer, I think is 3 minutes and 12. So going back to that low that we had in the 2019, 2020 era. But yeah, generally, I think all musicians now, because it's a global music economy, are affected by the same things. The algorithm affects them in the same way. And that pushback is happening on a broader scale than just in the West. There's a band called Le Sserafim, who I'm kind of low-key obsessed with at the moment, from South Korea. And they had a record out just a couple of months ago called Hot. And it's just a smidgen over 2 minutes long. And it ends on this fantastic keyboard riff. And you think, oh, this is going to build up into something amazing. And then it's over.
Suspense, cliffhanger in music.
Well, it is, yeah. And the clever thing about that, of course, is you think, well, instead of waiting for the big final chorus to come in, I'll just go and listen to it again. And so look at them gaming the system.
So it's like a looping song, because that's the other thing, right, with TikTok videos. If you can get it to loop, people will watch it on repeat.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly that.
Ooh.
People are clever. They know where the money is and they're chasing it. Not that I'm accusing people of being creatively bankrupt. That's a great song. I just wish it had one last chorus.
Oh, well, Mark, I'm going to go ahead and listen to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
And that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please do drop us a line in the comments below. I'm Hannah. This is What in the World from the BBC World Service. We'll see you next time.